Hello, dear students, and welcome to English. We're going to start with a poem today, and the poem is about a man who is traveling by horse through a snowy landscape, and he wants to stop for a little while and just enjoy the snow and how it looks. And the name of the poem is Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening by Robert Frost. So I will say one line and then you'll repeat after me. I have some children here who will also repeat, so just speak when the children speak. Whose woods these are, I think I know.
Whose woods these are, I think I know.
His house is in the village, though.
His house is in the village, though.
He will not see me stopping here.
He will not see me stopping here.
To watch his woods fill up with snow.
To watch his woods fill up with snow.
My little horse must think it queer.
My little horse must think it queer.
To stop without a farmhouse near.
To stop without a farmhouse near.
Between the woods and frozen lake.
Between the woods and frozen lake.
The darkest evening of the year.
The darkest evening of the year.
He gives his harness bells a shake.
He gives his harness bells a shake.
To ask if there is some mistake.
To ask if there is some mistake.
The only other sounds the sweep.
The only other sound the sweep.
Of easy wind and downy flake.
Of easy wind and downy flake.
The woods are lovely, dark and deep.
The woods are lovely, dark and deep.
But I have promises to keep.
But I have promises to keep.
And miles to go before I sleep.
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 Okay, now we're going to work on some grammar. And some of you have seen these past simple houses before, and some haven't, but they're very simple. When we think about past simple, we think it is something that is in the past and it is finished. It happened at a time that was a while ago. It could be yesterday, it could be last week, it could be last year, but the time is now finished. So in the top of the house, we write down when. And then we say what happened. That's when you have the verb. And sometimes you just have a verb, but sometimes you have more information. And then comes who. So who did it? And it can be yourself. So then you would say I, or it could be somebody else. Then you say he or she or John, right? Or it could be we, it could be you and other people you know. So that's the person. And then you can take this information and make sentences. So here's an example, this house. The answer to the question when is this morning. And then what? Go sledding in the park. And who is I? That's me, Mrs. Moorshot. And you have to think a little bit. Go is the infinitive of the verb, or the present tense. So we have to change it when we make a sentence. So then we come and we say, okay, I want to make a sentence about what I did this morning. So first I'll say who, and since it's me, I say I, and then go, that's an irregular verb, and the past of go is went. So I went sledding in the park. And then we come to the when. I went sledding in the park. And when did I go? I went this morning. And then I have a sentence in the past tense about what I did. So now I want you to think a little bit about what you did this weekend. And I'm going to help you a little bit by giving you an example of what I did this weekend. What you did might be different, but it could be you did some of the same things. And I was very excited this weekend because there was a lot of snow. So I did a lot of outdoor things. For example, I walked my dog through the woods. I walked my dog through the woods this morning. Yesterday, so what did I do yesterday? I cooked soup. Yesterday. I cooked soup yesterday. I also drank coffee with a friend yesterday over the computer though. So that was last night. I drank coffee with a friend last night. So I'm always saying who, that's me, I, and then what I did and when I did it, right? And it was my sister's birthday, so we celebrated. She lives in New York City, but we talked together. So I can say I celebrated my sister's birthday. And that is also yesterday. And if you look, now I've written a few things I did on the weekend. There are 4 sentences. So if you can write 4 sentences, it would be great. And often when you talk about what you did at the weekend, there are some verbs that help, like often you go places, so then you use the verb went. That's to go somewhere. The past of to go is went. Or if you just want to say, like I was at home, like where that's the verb to be, then you say was, right? And what else is helpful to talk about the weekend? I think a lot of you maybe went sledding. So then we say went sledding. You don't usually say sledded, you could, but went sledding. That's Schlittenfahren. And I think otherwise you have some verbs that you know you can use them. Okay? So please write about 4 sentences answering the question, what did you do this weekend? So now we're going to do the reading part of the lesson for this week. And I have a text about the Shoshone tribe, which is the tribe that one of the main characters of Stone Fox belongs to. So this is some background information. The Shoshone tribe of Native Americans lived in the western states of Oregon, California, Nevada, Idaho, Utah, Wyoming, and Montana. They are divided into 3 main groups: the Eastern Shoshone, the Northern Shoshone, and the Western Shoshone. Some Shoshone members moved south to New Mexico, Texas, and Oklahoma and became the Comanche tribe. Today, there are almost 12,000 Shoshone tribe members. The Shoshone were primarily hunters who followed the buffalo herds. They lived in homes made of hide called teepees, which could be easily moved from place to place. One of the most famous Shoshone was Sacagawea, a northern Shoshone woman. She traveled with the Lewis and Clark expedition in 1804 through 1806. So after you've read this text, I'd like you to answer these comprehension questions. They're just checking that you understood what you read. I think it would also be very interesting if you look at your map of the United States and check where the states are that are described in the text. They describe many states. And remember, the state where our book is set is Wyoming. And then here at the bottom, you have a picture of Chief Washakie, who was a leader. And you can see that he's wearing typical dress for the Native Americans. Okay. I also will, in this video, put definitions for some words, and you will have seen that so that you know what the difficult words mean.